You can, as an exercise, break down most movements or ideas into two. There can be a significant diversity, or it can be just ethical. So let me do this with the Irish Republican movement. One branch are the Chuckies, as in Chuckier law. The other branch are the rights, as in the rights of man or humankind. I didn't say half and half, for I feel 99% are in the Chuckies. For the Chuckies, the flag and the anthem, and the Irish language and Irish dancing, and Gaelic games are paramount. Obligations and weapons, not voluntary and expressions of celebration. Then the use of the Catholic faith, where they bring God into legitimised murder and torture and criminal enterprise. God is used to control the minds, and therefore the bodies will follow. With the history of Irish republicanism and subversive movements, and its infiltration by English agents and compromise of members, and the leakage by informants, the leaders and the men of policy decided how to have a tight, cohesive group that could spring into action with numbers and readiness and skill and weapons without the authorities having any warning. This required not excluding the dregs, but bringing them in to control them. Have the dregs urinating outside the tent. The big problem was now you were letting in wife and women beaters, smugglers and thieves, child abusers including neglect, thugs, the mentally unhinged, braggarts, men and women whose loyalty was not to the Irish cause but to evil, who would use the patriotic struggle to mask their ulterior operation. These are people in alliance to the evil cooperative beyond the boundaries of the Republican movement. Bit crude, but ask yourself a question. Would a nonce in the IRA be loyal to another nonce, including the British security forces, before any of his comrades? Of course the opposite applies to the British officer who is a nonce. Then you have the few. As I said before, let's call them the rights. The struggle is not about flags, but about the law and governance, and tolerance and fairness, and meritocracy and opportunity. It was an idea. It was not based on hate, not hatred for the English, for they are brothers. Many of them are involved in their own internal struggle for fairness and equity on the island of Britain. The history of London's involvement on this island proved they only brought cruelty and savagery. In seeking to brutalise the Irish, they were dehumanising themselves. It had to come to an end for everybody's best interests. The rights can handle being a tiny minority and be friend to all, including the English, and loyal to anyone deserving of loyalty. They can tolerate those of an opposite viewpoint and of any censure of them, for they know their ideology is based on solid philosophical principles and not on the emotional rabble-rousing of the Chuckies. The Chuckies are a danger to the powerless within a community, to the unapproved different. They are in the vanguard in the race to the bottom, in the embrace of the currency of stupidity, in the expectancy and the normalisation of violence, in the cornering of low-skilled jobs markets, in trying to hijack and then prescribe a simplified version of Irish history. In this brutalisation of the community, an evil ring takes hold, and therefore when this paedophile rings take hold and are protected. But above all, Chuckies are a danger to those who truly believe in Republican principles. The Chuckies are a cancer. Pretending that cancer doesn't exist doesn't make that disease go away. Sadly, the Chuckies are aware the majority of the community are afraid of them, and that gives them the space to make cheap money through at the very least the severe bending of the law. How do those who believe in the philosophy of fairness and truth and subscribe to Irish republicanism and Irish unity have a movement where the dregs and the corner boys cannot make a profit out of it in any shape or form? Let's look at republicanism and Irish history through the truthful prism, and not the prescribed narrative and distorted reality. Only through a grasp of the truth can we have a better today. Thank you, and consider subscribing.